Hey y'all, I'm Eboni K. Williams here, host and attorney extraordinaire. Welcome to Holding Court, where we analyze the very latest in legal headlines, the ones that got all the streets talking. You know what we do? We dig deep into how the courts impact the culture. We break it down, going straight from gavel to your news feed. And every week, we keep it 100. Right, Dustin Ross?
That's right.
Dustin Ross, my beautiful, brilliant sweetheart of a love and friend. How are you?
Listen, I'm doing much, much better now that I hear your voice in my ears, and I'm sure that our audience is doing better as well. It's good to be back, Eboni.
Good to be
I have
back.
missed you in this. Yes.
Season 4, we giving them mo. I've been
That's
practicing
right.
that all.
I like that. I like the mo. You committed.
There's no R-E, just the mo.
No, there's no
Fo,
need for it.
Mo.
Yeah, that's a department of communicative efficiency. That's our own dose. We making cuts around this motherfucker word by word.
Hysterical.
Yes.
I would ask you to fill us in on all the things that you've been up to for the past couple of months, but I can only imagine, and I can only imagine what parts of it you could share. So therefore, I'll just ask you, how you feeling, baby?
I feel great. You know, all things considered, in this chaotic world that we live in, there's so many things to be grateful for, so many spots of joy and beauty. So I'm focusing on that. You know, we did what we had to do. We encouraged all that we had access to do what they had to do. So, you know, now we just watch and offer
respond
commentary.
And
That's it.
And absolutely keep it rocking. Well, listen, you look good.
Thank you, my friend.
And I'm actually feling similarly. Listen, like, I think on some level we kind of knew what it was, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
And for those that want to just kind of revisit some points that I think are actually worth revisiting in the kind of aftershock of it all. The whiteness is on the ballot episode of season 3 of Holding Court. Maybe go run that back.
Excellent episode.
And thank you, bro. But also, like, probably worth taking some notes on it at this point. Now that we for real know what it is. And we're going to get into some pertinent takeaways from that when we get into these Trump executive orders and the constitutional crises that he is initiating and sparking in real time. We really talk about the whiteness and the blackness of it all, because so much of this moment, Dustin, what are we, 2.5 weeks into this motherfucker's new administration? And that's what it is. That's what we're talking about.
We've gotten so many taps. I know I've gotten so many DMs, messages, tweets. I'll never refer to them as anything else, by the way. They're tweets, and it is Twitter. But
with the blue bird. Yeah, definitely.
With the blue bird, for sure. And not this dodo bird that bought it. But everybody has been waiting for you and I to discuss these executive orders, just the madness of all of it, the madness of the Trump administration. So we got a job to do.
Yeah. And then, just so y'all know, jurors, stay till the end of the episode, because we will give y'all the latest and greatest on the updates of the ASAP Rocky trial. I know some of y'all are following that as well. But we certainly want to give the space and time to suss through. Heavy on sus.
I mean, heavy.
Because it's very important that we know exactly what time it is and exactly what the scope of, I'm going to call it a war. And I don't think that's even hyperbole at this point, because it's certainly a war, indeed. We got gangsters, we got lieutenants, we got some troops doing the work.
We have literal agents of chaos.
Literal. So it's very important that all of us, including you jurors, know the role that you are playing, because you are playing a role of some sort, passive or active, as we continue in the war in front of us. So want to do it? Here we go. All right, Dustin. So yesterday, as of the time of us recording this, of course, breaking news. And, sometimes the going-ons of New York City are New York business, right?
Yes.
And sometimes as I'm looking at you, looking all fine with your New York fitted on.
I love
sometimes it's so true. But sometimes, and this is one of those times, the business of New York City is the business of not only the country, but the world. Exactly. So yesterday, it is announced that this current Department of Justice, and I have to now call it the Trump Department of Justice, and I'll get to that in a second too, because there was once upon a time where we were led to believe, Dustin Ross, that these institutions of so-called justice, whether it was the FBI, right? The Department of Justice, they were supposed to be, what's that word? Apolitical. They were supposed to stand in independence and autonomy, regardless of if it was Obama in, if it was Reagan in, if it was fill in the blank, Republican, Democrat. But I think we all can just kind of own it and say we've all grown up a bit. I know I have, right?
Yeah. Well, we literally just laughed at the notion that there's some integrity left in these government agencies.
Come on.
We laughed.
We must call a thing. So now we're talking about a Trump DOJ. Just like in many ways we were talking about a Biden DOJ. Okay.
Right.
And this is important, y'all, because this connects us right to the underbelly of what a lot of people are cooking with this morning about the Eric Adams. So here's the headline. Let me just stop bearing the lead. Eric Adams, as of this moment, the Department of Justice, who is the entity that originally brought charges against Eric Adams, indicted him for several counts of felony wrongdoing as it relates to taking money from foreign entities, i.e. Turkey, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Looking at long federal time, major felony convictions, all the things. Well, Department of Justice said, actually, you know what? Hold the phone. We want y'all to dismiss everything, dismiss all charges against Eric Adams. And here's the key, Dustin. They submitted a 2-page memo. Now, they could have submitted a 2-line memo. They could have.
What was it? She know that this is some bullshit, what you talking about. That's why she's saying she don't like it. She's like, it's ridiculous.
So, Dustin, they submitted a 2-page memo. This is the Department of Justice. Now, they could have sent 2 lines. They really could have sent 2 words. Dismiss it. They literally could have said, dismiss it. But instead, they chose to go into somewhat of detail as to the why they want these charges all of a sudden dismissed against the current sitting mayor of New York City, Eric Adams. And they say very specifically, Dustin, it's not because of the facts of the case. They actually go out of their way in this memo. The Department of Justice is saying, we are not requesting dismissal of these charges against Eric Adams because of the facts of the case. We're not asking that they be dismissed because of any kind of procedural errors by our own Department of Justice, Attorney General's department. No. We're asking for them to be dismissed for 2 reasons, and really 2 reasons only, Dustin. They want them dismissed because they allege that the timing, that because of when he's being indicted and charged, it will run up too close against the, we have an election that we both get to vote in soon. And that's going to be the new mayoral elections. We got a primary this summer in 2025. And then in November of this year, 2025, we will elect a mayor, whether it be a new mayor or the same motherfucking mayor. But that is coming up. So this Department of Justice says, we don't like the timing. It's too close to the election. So dismiss the charges. And also, we believe that the charges were a political attack, right? A political attack from the Biden Department of Justice, because so now they're framing it essentially in that way, because Eric Adams dared not cooperate with the then presidential administration, the Joe Biden approach to immigration, because Eric Adams came out very aggressively, very publicly at some point he was rocking with Biden and all things Biden at first. In fact, they used to call him the Biden of Brooklyn. I don't know if you remember that. They really did. Then
before the switch up. Yeah.
Listen, switcheroo. Then it became, the migrants are getting too many resources that should be going to New Yorkers. We don't want to take them in anymore. Get them out of here. Of course, that sounds a lot more aligned with the new man in the White House, very Trumpish. Then it just so happens, let's just run the facts down the timeline, right, Dustin? Then the indictment comes from the Biden White House. Now, who's to say if it was politically motivated or not? Who's to say? But that was the order of things. Then somehow, some way, we start seeing Eric Adams speaking very warmly, very very, very cozy is the word I'll use, right? Let me go to my Beyonce for a second. Very cozy around then former President Trump and then candidate Trump. Well, and then, this is key, Eric Adams advised his own people, his own staff, his own administration, and to not publicly criticize Donald Trump when he was running for election, and not to criticize him now, as he enforces his immigration plan. That is a mandate from the mayor. He's like, hey, if you got a Trump criticism, let's keep it internal. Let's figure it out. But do not be outside speaking negatively of Donald Trump. I wonder where he got that from.
What kind of shit is that? I didn't even mean to interrupt you, but how the fuck you gonna tell me? I'm sick of I'm really trying today to be measured in what I say, right? I don't want to just be going off every damn week on the show, you know? But it's ridiculous. How dare you try to censor me or mute me and tell me I can't have a criticism of the president? That is literally that is like wild to me that they're pushing that. And then for these motherfuckers to say, well, we've decided that the timing of the charges is why we're going to dismiss them. Since when do you get to schedule when you get in trouble? And what do you mean it's not political, but you're saying the reason that you're dismissing these charges is because they're too close to a mayoral race?
Oh, and then they go on to say, thank you for that. Part 2 of let's prove it's political. We want Eric Adams to be available to be an active enforcer of President Trump's immigration policies and tactics and get these migrants out of here. They said that. Like, that's in the 2-page memo, Dustin. They actually, that's what I'm saying. What they chose to share, and in my opinion, overshare, depending on how you look at it. To me, it's an overshare in terms of what the public needed to know, but it's just the right amount of share in terms of what Eric Adams' black ass needs to know, because they are being very clear. Mr. Negro Mayor, sir, okay? These are the expectations for you to follow. No public critique of Donald Trump. You are to effectively be a partner to this administration as we kick out migrants of several different kinds. You are to cooperate with all of our political agenda as a Trump White House. And baby, and this is the T jurors, if you choose not to accept the mission, let us tell you what you will win. What is behind door number 1? When you read the memo, Dustin, the DOJ is saying we request immediately the dismissal of all charges against Eric Adams without prejudice. Now they could, and without prejudice, just a quick refresher, jurors, that means they're dismissed now, but they're more than welcome to bring them back later. That's what when something is dismissed without prejudice, if you go to court right now and they dismiss your misdemeanor shoplifting charge, whatever, without prejudice, that means you can breathe a sigh of relief tonight, but I don't know about tomorrow.
Right.
That means at any given time, the prosecutor, at their own volition, you don't have to do anything else wrong.
They just have to decide
They just have to wake up and decide that because it's Thursday, I'd like to revisit those charges and re-indict your ass. It literally works that way. So for the prosecutors, or the prosecutors and the DOJ here, Dustin, to say specifically that we're asking to dismiss the charges against Eric Adams without prejudice, keep in mind, they could have just as easily asked for these charges to be dismissed with prejudice and really assured him a nice, comfortable, cozy night's sleep. But no, they kind of want Mr. Adams to keep an eye open, right? They kind of want him to stay on the ready, because the minute that you get out of alignment, the minute you forget who your real master is in this particular political scenario, we will circle back on your ass.
That is old school motherfucking. That's an old school shakedown control tactic. That's what that is. Literally, they just took control of the New York City mayor's office that fast. That's what they did.
Yeah, and you know, politically speaking, I won't get into the weeds of that because, again, I think that becomes more local. But I think people kind of don't expect Eric Adams to necessarily be successful with the reelection bid. But whether he is or he isn't, I'll say this: much like we saw with the Trump situation, winning reelection does you a lot of legal favors for yourself.
Also, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Also, we think he won't win, but if he's in bed with the Trump administration and they have had influence over these elections, right? Who's to say that they won't rig the New York City? You know what they want to maintain the control over the mayor's office of New York City.
That number one, first and foremost. B, I'm going to go further, Dustin. I don't even know if they would have to rig it. For as much as people like to sit on the internet, some people in some pockets and some social bubbles and bad talk Trump this and bad talk Trump that, I know the recent polling came out and his numbers look pretty damn good. I'm talking about Trump's. You know,
but that's the thing. Like, we don't know. They've taken so much control. Like,
they're taking control, and also people are moving how they moving, Dustin. And I mean, this is one of the things that I'm saying in my group chats. At some point, people have to kind of stop the narrative of like only this fringe group supports Trump, or only these so-called deplorables support Trump, or all. Now we can think whatever we want to think of those who casted a vote for Donald Trump, but the numbers are the numbers. Now, whether they're rigged numbers, whether they're inflated numbers, whether the numbers at some point show up and at some point tip the scale. So I'll just say this and we'll move on from the Eric Adams election piece of his re-election potential for mayor. Number one, Eric Adams wasn't put in office by a whole bunch of black progressives, so to speak. He wasn't. He was put in office by being very popular in Staten Island, where he used to be borough president in Brooklyn, out in Queens. See what I'm saying? So if you start looking at what those electoral coalitions look like, they don't look all that different from the same counties in the state of New York that went red for Trump. Like, we must acknowledge that. That's what it is. So as much as this looks really bad to a lot of New Yorkers that are going to say, oh, shit, now he's totally publicly bought and owned by Donald Trump. He sold out New Yorkers. We're hearing that narrative. Oh, damn. I wonder what he promised Trump. Well, we know he promised the migrant piece, but what else did he promise Trump? Yeah. That's real. Those questions are real, Dustin. Don't mishear me. They absolutely are. But just on the other side of that contingency of New York electorate is another piece that says, wonderful. We love this. We are MAGA down, whether we look like we should be MAGA or not. And yes, I'm talking about some of the, I swear to God, this was on New York One. Ayanna Pressley, shout out to the one of my favorite reporters on New York One, interviewed a brother, and I think it was his aunt or something, sitting down. They were in the Bronx. This man was a formerly convicted brother who had been released for like 5 years. He was on probation, whatever. And he was a product of Giuliani's stop and frisk. He was a product. And Trump has been very vocal. He plans to bring stop and frisk right back. And that black man said, well, when I was younger, I was against it, but I'm for it now. That's what he said. That's what he said.
We're toast. We're doomed. That's why we're in this position right now. We are fucked up. And it's because of people like that. My eyes are open. I don't put it past nobody. My eyes are open. I don't put it past no damn body. There are a lot of people who are attracted to whatever element of the Trump administration era that they are, and they support this madness. And initially, they were just the deplorables, but now they're not. People are starting to enjoy the show and the entertainment value of it all, and they're behind this. And it's people like him, who you said was a product of the stop and frisk.
This happened. This is real time, y'all. Real fucking time.
And now this nigga is sitting on New York One, which I love, but sitting on New York One, sullying the set, saying things like, well, I support it now. Why?
So that's indicative. I'm not saying that's everybody, Dustin, but I'm saying that is indicative of a piece of the electorate that aesthetically on sight looks like you and I. Does not look like bleach blonde big back. Looks more like you and I than that. And that is what he's saying. So for all of the pushback and stigma and cloud that this clear quid pro quo, and that's not an opinion from Eboni K. Williams, that's what the DOJ memo said. It said, because we need Eric Adams to do the work of this administration around these migrants, we are asking the Southern District Office of our prosecutors to dismiss all charges without prejudice, because we're asking for the power to bring this motherfucker right on back. Right. We're asking for the power to run this shit right on back if we don't like how Adams is moving. And we're asking you to do it right now. We're asking you to do it for a very particular reason. So that's quid pro quo, if you don't know. Something for something else. This for that. And And so as much as it's going to bring stigma for some, it's going to be celebrated by others, Dustin. And there's a whole contingency, you better know it right now, that's saying clap, clap, good for Eric Adams. If Biden can pardon Hunter, if Biden can do what's in the best interest of his family, Eric Adams gets to do what's in the best interest of him. And even if you want to ride with that argument, my pushback on that would be Eric Adams is not wholly empowered. That's the difference. Is Joe Biden held all the cards because he was the sitting president. And we could argue, that's what white men get to be, generally speaking, absent the exception of Obama. But Eric Adams is really just living to see another day. This is not to be construed, y'all, with a true get out of jail free card.
It's like being on probation.
That's it. Now, I'm going to wrap it up so we can move on to the other Trump executive orders, but I do want to leave jurors, Dustin, with some procedural next steps. So right now, the charges as we speak, sitting here recording this, he's still charged. What this 2-page memo from the Department of Justice that's breaking the internet is doing, it is asking the current, because this must be done in a procedural way, right? So right now, who is in charge of the Southern District of New York, which is a very esteemed district. I would say probably the single most esteemed prosecutorial federal district in the whole country. It's just a lot of greats have come out of there, including shout out to Loretta Lynch. It's just the boss. They call it the sovereign of the Southern District. It is historically revered as independently operating, taking no shit, doing its thing. Prosecutors that take themselves very seriously. Well, right now, they have an interim lead. Her name is Danielle Sassoon.
Okay.
Much like Vidal. No, I'm just kidding.
And the jeans.
Like that part. So she's temporary, and she will be replaced by Trump's actual nominee to run this district, which is a white man by the name of Jay Clayton. Okay, but he's not in yet because we haven't gotten to his confirmation because they've been too busy confirming motherfuckers like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Pete Hegseth and other motherfuckers.
How are you going to be the health? Never mind. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm not even going to talk about Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Because we already know.
Go ahead.
Don't worry. Sad but true. He'll be on the docket soon enough. Soon enough.
I'm going to tear his ass up. I'm telling you right now.
Right.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, you good. Okay, so until Trump's actual pick gets confirmed, we have this interim woman prosecuting Danielle Sassoon. So technically, it's going to be on Danielle Sassoon, actually, in this real-time moment to, comply with this request from the top of the DOJ. And she would need to draft a request for dismissal, submit it to the judge, and then the judge signs off. Now, I'm not concerned about the judge signing off. If the judge gets a request from the Department of Justice to do so, they're going to sign off. I can't imagine there's a scenario they want. Now, the one thing that could happen here is, I don't know Danielle Sassoon, okay? But if she wanted to have a moment, let's say, I mean, not a stunt, but a real moment. Like, hey, I don't know what y'all talking about. I think this is some bullshit. I think the charges were brought correctly. I think we have a legitimate case, and I'm not in the business of dismissing cases that I think I can prove at the time of court. She could recuse herself. She could actually resign from her post as interim Southern District prosecutor, attorney general, and she could just have it vacant. And that type of procedural delay could be the case. I think this is coming with such a strong hand from the Department of Justice.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I don't think it serves her to kind of take the stand, so to speak. In the sake of independent prosecutorial discretion. Like in other scenarios, I see where that would be a play and would be an advantageous play, not just for her in a self-interested career move, but in a broader statement, right?
Right.
I just think this is coming too high up. I think it's too short of a timeline in terms of November election is going to be here before we know it. And just know this, y'all. I won't be surprised if this is revisited. Again, keep in mind, if you don't remember nothing else, Trump and this DOJ could have dismissed the charges against Eric Adams with prejudice. They could have said, make it go away and make it go away forever. If y'all got some more shit on him and you want to bring it separate, you can do that. But this turkey shit, this shit right here, we're done with it. Throw it out. Unhand him. Shout out to Will Brooks. But but they didn't say that. They said do it without the prejudice so that we can maintain a tight leash on this particular one. And if he moves out of step with what we want, expect, and need, we're going to circle the wagon on his ass. That's what the memo says.
I love that you mentioned, so 2 points I want to make. Number one, I love the fact that you made note of the fact that they could have just literally written dismiss it. But the fact that they went into such specific language and a very thinly veiled threat, you know what I mean?
Thinner than that dress your boy's wife had on. Go ahead.
I mean, the threat is on Ozempic. You know what I'm saying?
Double dose. Listen, the double dose. Yeah.
They added that language to me that you're trying to send a message through this. They're
and I think the message is to Eric Adams, by the way. Yeah, Dustin.
Absolutely.
Because we don't need the message. This is a message. This is a public leash being placed on Eric Adams
and
that says walk 1 millimeter out of bounds, sir.
Yep.
And see what your black ass get.
So I'm not interested in that. Now, the other second point that I want to make is that Eric Adams looks just like Mother Jefferson. You remember George Jefferson's mother on the show?
Oh, the mother. Yeah, you know about Weezy. Yeah, the actual mother.
Not Weezy, Mother Jefferson, a lady that played his George Jefferson's mama. That's what Eric Adams looks like in the face. That's all.
And on that particular note, George, I think we're going to go ahead and move it a little further. But that's hysterical. Okay. So let's back it up to the zoom out of the Trump of it all. I know, like you said, Dustin, a lot of people tagging us, tweeting, sliding in the DMs, wanting to know what do these executive orders mean for most of us walking around in America that look black and other. And I think the one that concerns me the very most is the quote birthright citizenship, also known as the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. So a lot of people, Dustin, when Trump first got elected this go round, were disappointed, were sad, and they were saying, well, this is horrible, but how it can't be but so bad because we have checks and balances, right? They went back to the 8th grade, which I commend because some people didn't even remember it from the 8th grade.
Right.
Well, we had those 3 branches. I'm dead ass serious, though. That's why you laughing. Well, we had those 3 branches of government, right?
Right.
You know, we have the executive piece. That's our presidential piece. We've got the legislative piece. That's the congressional piece with the House and the Senate. And then, of course, there's the judiciary. These are our judges. And in a perfect world, the reason we've got those 3 so-called independent branches of government is so they can check and balance one another. So that at no point, and actually kind of this exact scenario, right, Dustin? That if we've got this kind of oligarch, dictator-style executive branch leader, a la Trump, president, that's when you'll have a Congress, you know, a House of Representatives, a U.S. Senate that will say, not on our watch, Mr. President.
Yeah.
But the only problem with this particular legislative moment is both are Republican-controlled. And here's the thing, there was even a time, I'm barely old enough to remember, but I remember a time where even a Republican Congress or a Republican Senate would just sometimes, not most of the time, and certainly not all the time, Dustin, but just sometimes say, wait a minute, President Bush.
You tripping.
You tripping and we ain't going that far with you.
Right.
You remember that?
Absolutely. Fourscoring literally 40 years ago.
literally 40 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. I mean, even Clinton had some Democrat congressmen and senators. Mr. Clinton, we'll ride with you. We're not going to let him impeach you, but you're going a step too motherfucking far.
Yeah,
that used to be the power of a check and a balance, even within one's own party.
Yep.
But Trump has, and this part, I don't like the phrase to his credit, but I must name Dustin Ross, the sheer effectiveness of his overall command. Well, I don't know whether it's fear tactic, whether it's just a piercing ideological pull. All I know is that it was not quiet, that many Republican senators did not want to confirm most of these Trump picks going into the administration. They like literally, like Mitch McConnell even out here falling and everything, saying I don't like it. Yet, Dustin, they all went through this motherfucking confirmation process. So what I'm saying is this particular Republican-controlled Senate, as well as the Republicans in the United States House of Representatives, whether they want to or not, they do not have the political courage. They do not have the political will to stand down, stand up rather to this president. They have all chosen to stand down. And so there is to me, no foreseeable check nor balance available in the legislative branch. And then poor brother Hakeem Jeffries, I don't know if you saw this the other day.
I did.
He
said, well, what are we supposed to do? They
Please
got
tell the
control
people
over
what he
everything.
said, Dustin. Tell
he
people
literally
what he
said that basically they have nothing. What leverage do we have? I believe that's
exactly
what
he said.
What leverage do we have? He was like, they have control of the House, they have control of the Senate. He was like, it's their government.
He literally said it's their government. Yeah. And just, if you're not following it super close, Hakeem Jeffries, shout out to Brooklyn, he's the congressman from there, but he's also the leader of the House of Representatives. So he's leading the minority, the Democrats. So he's the minority leader of the House of Representatives. He's the most powerful Democrat in the House. And he sat up there and said, which he ain't told not one lie. He said, we have no leverage. So this expectation, this reasonable, fair expectation that the broader people, the American people would love to see push back, challenge, some level of fight back with what? It's their government.
That's what happens when you don't educate yourself as a voter. That's what happens when you don't take the time to read stuff and understand what the impact and the overarching impact, the consequences, the access that you've given people, the decision-making power that you've given people with that one vote, for him to pick a cabinet full of motherfuckers who feel just like him and are willing to play even dirtier than him and who are a little bit more politically savvy than him, and can get this done. That's why they've been effective at literally gutting and uprooting the American government as we know it.
That's it.
They've done that.
That's it. So now, again, 3 judges. So that leads us to, so Hakeem Jeffries said, I ain't got nothing on it. We ain't got shit on it. Ain't got nothing we could do. And again, the Republicans said, we kind of really don't fuck with it, but we either too scared or too this or too pussy, too whatever. We ain't got nothing on it either. Yeah. I mean, I'm just sorry to say it like that, Dustin, but
I'm not. I love cussing. I love dirty words. Say it again. Exactly. But yes, Eboni, you're right.
Yeah. So nobody over in the legislative piece ain't got nothing on it. So now our last stand, if you will, our last hope and mercy for any type of check or balance must come from the judiciary. And I just want to plug myself for 1 minute if I can. This is why, jurors, from day 1, episode 1 of this show, and if you know anything about my career, ever since my earliest days on Fox News, CNN, or HLN, when you hear me talk about political anything, I'm always heavy, bias, leaning towards the judiciary piece, whether it's the Supreme Court, or the appellate court, or the district court, the federal. And why am I like this, y'all? Because they are the ones that if anybody can be independent on a cold day in hell, it would be them because of the nature of their appointments.
Yeah.
Because they're lifetime appointments, Dustin. So they tend to be the least vulnerable to the strong arming of anybody's political lean. It's not just I just chose to like them. No. It's because of how they're positioned.
Yeah.
So if we're to have any opportunity for check, balance, independence, integrity, or any of these so-called American values in our government, it is most likely always going to come at the hands of the judiciary, of the federal judges.
Why he stacked the Supreme Court the way that he did.
Exactly. Don't even get me started on it because I'm still low-key mad at Obama and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. But let me try to move it forward. So thankfully, in this moment, and for those of you that are wondering, well, if Hakeem said ain't shit we could do, the Republicans over here like whatever. What is there any hope? If there's a sliver of hope, Dustin, and I'm probably going to describe it as not much more than a sliver. any opportunity for pushback on this Trump administration and its absolute mad dash to dissemble democracy and the rights, specifically the rights of Black America, will be coming from the federal judiciary. It will be coming from the federal judges. So again, let's go to the 14th Amendment. And some of y'all don't know how that relates to you. Some of y'all really think this 14th Amendment birthright citizenship is just about pushing out Mexicans. But I'm going to get you straight in a minute. Just put a pin in that for 1 second.
Yeah.
But just know that now 3 different federal judges, New Hampshire, Seattle, and Maryland, federal judges in all of those different parts of the country have said, not on our watch, Mr. President. Will you, with the stroke of your executive pen, undo the almost got to be 200-year precedent of the United States 14th Amendment, which simply says that the right to be a citizen in this country derives from being born on the soil. That's what it says. That's what the 14th Amendment says. It's very, very clear. It grants citizenship to those born in the U.S. and subject to its jurisdiction. And Trump, in his executive order, literally works to undo that. His executive order says that, you know, if you are not coming, if your parents, so if the people you are born to are not already United States citizens, then you do not get to inherit citizenship upon simply being born in America.
That's fucked up.
Now, let me tell you why it's fucked up for Black folks. So go back to the origin story of the 14th Amendment, okay, which happened in very, 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 very recent post-emancipation America. The 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868, immediately after the Civil War and the Dred Scott decision. By the way, Dred Scott ruled against the Black man and said that he was not a citizen because he was Black.
Right.
And it did. America literally said, you could be born here, your parents could have been born here, your great-grandparents could have been born here. We don't give a fuck because y'all are Black, and just inherently that disqualifies you from citizenship. That was the law of the land until the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment is the first time in this country, on this land, on this soil, again, 1868, after the Civil War, where the United States government even recognized Black Americans, many of whom have been in this nation, born in this nation by that point, Dustin, 4 and 5 generations. We finally become citizens because of the 14th Amendment, which says just by virtue of being born here, regardless of your color, you get to now participate in citizenship. And just because, yes, Donald Trump will stand at that microphone and he'll say, well, 14th Amendment was supposed to be for the Blacks. The 14th Amendment was supposed to be for the slaves. Now, keep in mind, he'll forget about the Blacks and the slaves in the next sentence. But he'll say and acknowledge that. And then some Blacks, Dustin, put their hands together, clap and cheer. And they're like, see, it's for us. It's not for the Mexicans. See, it's for us. It's not for the Asians. See, it's for us. It's not for the Irish. By the way, keep in mind, these exclusions of birthright citizenship never take into account, never question, never work to put out European immigrants. Never.
They just requested white South African ones, but go
No,
on.
they sure did. And guess what the white South Africans said? We're actually good. We just gonna stay over here and keep trying to. Yeah, they sure did. They said, y'all got it. We actually gonna stay right put on the continent.
Anywho, yes.
Anyway. Yeah, so this is important, y'all. So when he's looking to dismantle the 14th Amendment, yeah, he can say out of his mouth, I'm not talking about the Blacks, because the Blacks get to stay, because, you know, we certainly need the Blacks to stay and do the Black jobs, because let's be very clear, that's what this is about. This is about an indentured servitude, so to speak, of a workforce that white Americans are tired of having to participate in their damn selves. They're tired of being poor whites. They're tired of being rural whites. And they are ready for Blacks to go back to work in the Black jobs exclusively. And in order for that to happen, there is a mandate that says that these immigrants, these whether they be Hispanics, Latino, Asian, whoever they are, they must go back to their respective homelands so that they can clear up the workspace for the blacks to be demoted. This is literally about black demotion. If you don't know that, you're not paying attention. And see, I think those black people, Dustin, that are putting their hands together and clapping about the 14th Amendment being just for us, and the point I wanted to make on that, Trump can say all day it's not about the blacks. I'm fine with the blacks. And I really just want these Hispanics and Mexicans and what do you call them, bad hombres to get pushed out. But the courts don't have to listen to Trump. And in fact, they won't listen to Trump. So if indeed y'all find some federal judges or even this Trump majority Supreme Court, this 6-3 conservative Supreme Court, and they dare undergo the breaking of a 200-year precedent that respects the 14th Amendment, if they dare toss that out the window, Trump saying the blacks are fine is not going to matter. That's the point of this.
What's going to happen? He's going to pass the buck. This is what he does. This is a pattern for him. Oh, I'm not doing that. No, it's not that. It's this. And the whole entire time he has somebody working on his behalf, enacting the riding the legal beef.
Right.
Okay?
Right. Making the argument that because once they detach the birthright citizenship from the soil, because that's what the executive order is asking for, Dustin. It's mandating that the citizenship of American citizenship is no longer tethered, is no longer automatic, is no longer granted to those born on the soil. And once that is undone by law and by legal precedent, Black Americans will no longer have any claim to citizenship because we only got it back in 68?
Which ain't that long ago.
Really ain't. Through the proclamation of being citizens per being born on the soil. Once that is undone, this is no reverse.
Oh my God. It's infuriating. So it's almost difficult to discuss, but that's why I'm here. So let me get my shit together. First of all, this is what I mean about people not understanding what's going on. These are not policies and executive orders that won't ever reach you or tap you on your shoulder. Fool, it's being created to get directly to you. So while you think that you have these protections, and these people are so uninformed because they believe that they have these checks and balances and protections in law, and that's exactly what's being uprooted as we speak. You ain't safe. Keep laughing.
Keep laughing. Keep thinking it's about Jorge and Maria. I'm serious. Because if you believe that you are going to benefit from a pushed out, this was the point I was going to make, baby. The blacks that are clapping and applauding and happy to, quote, see the brown immigrants go back to where they came from. These are the blacks that are happy to get their demotion, whether they know it or not. I think some of them know it, by the way. They're happy to be further demoted because, that's fine. Some of y'all are like, oh, well, we already work in the blue collar sector. We already work the black jobs. Well, now know that you're going to be further demoted because once the black professional class must be pushed out because they've gotten rid of higher education and the affirmative actions. They've gotten rid of DE&I. But once the black professional class, once we can't go to law school and be lawyers, so now the people currently doing that work, they're going to have to be further promoted to literally picking the oranges, literally picking the textile materials. Shall we say cotton? Shall we say cotton? Okay. You think this is far up in the distance? And y'all gonna say, well, Trump said he didn't mean us? Tell it to the judge. Tell it to the judge.
Thank God Joe Biden appointed all those federal judges. Thank God that he did that.
I thank you for saying that, baby. I'm still got this kind of postpartum brain going. I'm trying to
That's
recover.
all right.
But that was the point I wanted to really make. And shout out to Ashley Hobbs, who sent a piece the other day and was like, you said it, y'all said it, Dustin said it.
Super producer Ashley Hobbs.
Yeah, just how a lot of folks, and I hate to say it, but there were a lot of folks and some black men in particular that said, oh, I'm not impressed by seeing all these black women appointed to the federal judiciary and getting these federal jobs and all the way up into and including Ketanji Brown Jackson. So some of y'all were not impressed with the fact that Joe Biden single-handedly appointed 63 black federal judges. I want to be clear, that is more than Obama. That is more than any president of any length ever, including the two-term president. In one term, he appointed more federal black judges than ever before. Y'all better know that it is those black judges, black men and black women, by the way, who are being the last stand against the complete dismantling of Black rights in America. I'm talking about voting rights. I'm talking about civil rights. I'm talking about the right to even citizenship. And we are seeing it in real time.
I don't know what people are thinking about, because an action like that communicates something to the public, right? It's unprecedented. It's never been done before. He did that because he knew what was coming. And that's why he did that. So think about that, y'all. Think about that. He knew what Donald Trump and his cronies were about to do. And he said, let me put this measure in place to have some sort of
check or balance.
Yeah, some sort of check or balance. If that don't wake y'all motherfuckers up, if that don't scare y'all enough to start reading and listening and making decisions with your vote, come on.
Yeah, this ain't about capping for Sleepy Joe. Joe might have been sleepy, but he wasn't that damn sleep. He made sure to put them 63 Black judges on that bench. So, that's it. That's all. That y'all better get it. If you're wondering, well, what we gonna do? Look to your judges. Look to these federal judges, many of whom are Biden appointees. That will be the only short gap, at least in the immediate future. Now, there is an election coming up in 2 years to hopefully have an opportunity to reclaim the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. We'll see what that's looking like. Personally, I'm gonna just tell you straight up, Dustin, I don't have a whole lot of confidence in it, because I'm still seeing, to me, in a time right now where the DNC and the quote party should be all hands on deck. What are the districts we can flip? What are the seats we can reclaim? What are the ones we need to throw money at so we can hold on to? Y'all too busy still talking about Kamala. Y'all still too busy talking about who fucked up, when, where, how we lost. Fuck all that. Fuck all that. That's fine. Y'all can do that autopsy.
But we don't have time.
But guess what? The clock is ticking. The next election, to have an opportunity to have a legislative check and balance so we don't have to watch Hakeem Jeffries stand up there in 2 more years talking about they ain't got no fucking leverage. Let me stop. Let me stop. All right. Let's go on and go to ASAP Rocky.
We might as well.
All right, y'all. So ASAP Rocky's case is wrapping up. Some of y'all have been following it. Essentially, this is the long and short. Brother ASAP, of course, we're talking about ASAP Rocky, Rihanna's partner and father of her 2 adorable little children, just as cute as can be. He is being charged with 2 counts of felony assault with a semi-automatic firearm. So essentially, the argument goes like this, that he had a gun, he shot said gun, and it grazed the knuckles, thus injuring and assaulting one of his former friends and, could I say bandmates, Dustin? Does that work? Okay. Yeah. ASAP Relly. Okay. And that's the nature of the charges. This is back in 2021. Rocky says it wasn't me. It's very much on his shaggy. And he says, at best, yeah, he was shot, but it was with a play gun, or not that he didn't say he was shot. He said, I had a gun. It was a play gun, and it only released blanks. So if he was shot and injured, it could not have been by me. That is the defense, essentially, of ASAP Rocky in this moment. And, people have been testifying. Prosecutors rested their case. Defense witnesses are currently being called. One of those said defense witnesses is ASAP 12. I'm saying that right, Dustin?
Yes.
No, what the fuck is it then? Shit.
Yes, you're saying it right. It's just funny to me. But yes, continue.
Yes. Okay. So 12 was on stand, and he was saying, corroborating ASAP Rocky's testimony. Like, yeah, we all knew he's been carrying this toy gun ever since he was robbed and his house was broken into, and we all knew it. And it was he's telling the truth. Basically, he's a corroborating witness for ASAP Rocky, which is why he's testifying for the defense. Well, the prosecutor, this was kind of funny the other day, is cross-examining, and he's asking 12 on the stand, what does AWGE stand for? Now, you tell him, Dustin, what that is before I go into it.
So it's for many, many years, the ASAP clique, which is a collective essentially of artists, right? The definition of that acronym has been shrouded in mystery. Now, one of the members of the collective, ASAP Ferg, kind of let it slip a few years ago that it meant. It's that WGE stood for ASAP Worldwide Global Entertainment. It's the name of the collective or the record label, but they've never really answered what the letters stand for, and it's been kind of something they shroud in secrecy, I guess, to maintain some sort of mystique or whatever.
Okay, so if you go on the website right now, it says like rule number 1 is it's never reveal what AWGE stands for, and rule number 2 is refer to rule number 1. So to Dustin's point, very much don't say nothing, never talk about it. We serious about it, right? So again, ASAP 12, he's on the stand being cross-examined by the prosecutor. Prosecutor asked straight up, what does AWGE stand for? And I want to get your opinion about this, Dustin. I don't get the feeling he was going to say it anyway, but just to be safe, ASAP Rocky literally from the defense table blurts out, don't say it. Don't say it. And then the prosecutor's like, did you hear what he said? He's like, I ain't hear nothing. I was listening to you. What'd you say? And then goes on to just say like, hey, I don't know what it is. And continues to essentially play dumb. But he never does reveal what AWGE stands for. My question to you, Dustin, is, but for A$AP Rocky's blurting out in the middle of the court, do you think he would have said it? Or what do you think?
I'm not sure, because once you're in a court setting like that and you don't really fuck with the police and in general, you want to get out of that, as clean as you can. And so a lot of times when they're asking you very pointed questions and trying to find things out, you almost feel like you have to give up the information. Some things you don't have to tell, though. And so I think that he needed that note from A$AP Rocky, and that is why it was given.
Listen, in real time. That was in real time. I actually was kind of surprised that the judge didn't kind of stop the proceedings at that point, but did not. Kept that shit right on going until ultimately A$AP Rocky's defense counsel asked for a sidebar. So that's where it is right now. As of the time of this recording, we were technically waiting to see if A$AP Rocky himself is going to testify as the final witness on his defense team. It's midday as of the time of us, Dustin and I, recording this, y'all. So I'm going to guess no. I think they just kind of threw that out there before the end of business day yesterday. Hey, we might call our client because he's anxious to tell his story. I think they just kind of wanted the prosecution to spin its wheels a little bit. I don't think he's going to be called. We'll see. I could stand corrected. We'll see. And then that's going to be the defense resting their case. Dustin will hear closing arguments. And then it'll go to verdict. What you got an anticipation on this one?
I don't think he's going to get in trouble for this. I don't. I think he's going to get off. I
think so too. It doesn't seem too compelling. No. Is it possible? Maybe, but it just, there was just no literal smoking gun. There was no real, aha moment. It's kind of a lot of this and that, and I think a lot of times jurors and judges, sadly, in these cases of kind of black man on black man violence of this quote unquote nature. And let's be clear, when I say violence, no disrespect to Relly, like grazing of the knuckles, not the most egregious. Let me just say it that way. What you laughing at, Dustin?
It isn't the most egregious of
it's not the most egregious of so-called alleged attacks. Okay, put some Neosporin on that shit, Negro.
And get your ass up.
Wrap that shit up with some ace bandage,
bandage, and some tape.
Take some Tylenol and take your ass.
Get that little metal thing with the little claws.
The splinter.
You
know what? So good to be back recording with you, Dustin.
I've missed you so.
Missed you so. Missed our jurors. As y'all can see, we're back at it. Don't worry, we'll be back. Court will be in session next week, same time, same place. And in the meantime, we are so happy to be back with y'all. And what you want the people to do, Dustin?
Listen, y'all already know how this goes. Read your terms and your conditions, y'all.
Yeah, thoroughly. And most of y'all need to go back and read their 14th Amendment one more time, too.
For real.
The way, the fine print. Holding Court is produced by Uppity Productions. Host and executive producers here, Eboni K. Williams, yours truly, and the Dustin Ross. Executive producer in Dossie, McCraw. Our senior producer, Ashley Hobbs. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any and everywhere you get your podcast.